August 8th, our department had gotten dispatched to a two-day-old infant. In essence, that was not breathing. The officer that is getting the award tonight responded and performed life-saving measures and saved the life of the child. So, Steve Colella, can you come up here, please? The Muhlenberg Township Police Department Life Saving Award is hereby awarded to Officer Stephen Colella on this day, September 18th, 2023. You are hereby awarded the Life Saving Award for your actions on August 8th, 2023, while working your assigned shift at 14:46 hours. The Muhlenberg Township Police Department and Muhlenberg Ambulance were dispatched to report of a two-day-old infant choking and experiencing respiratory arrest. Muhlenberg Ambulance had a delayed response due to just dropping off a patient at Reading Hospital from a previous call. Although the 911 dispatchers were providing medical instructions to the father, however, everything the father tried didn't work. When you arrived, you took control of the infant and started performing back slaps. After several attempts, a very thick mucus plug was discharged and the infant began to cry and was breathing. The infant was transported to a local hospital and held overnight for observation. I was in contact with the mother of the infant, Brandy Pacheco, and she was extremely grateful for your quick and precise actions. She stated that the baby was fine and was discharged from the hospital the following day without any known complications. In her words, she stated that she couldn't find the words necessary to express her gratitude for saving her son. All these actions exemplify the professional conduct I, as the chief of police, the citizens of the township, and the community expect and deserve. Your actions that you took that day are to be commended with the department's life-saving award.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just offer a comment that, I know the Board of Commissioners will take safety of our residents, safety of visitors in Muhlenberg Township very seriously, and that's our number one priority. And it's nice to see those words to actually see action in this case. It's a shame it happened to that child, but it's nice to know that we have officers willing to respond or trained in providing that necessary choke maneuver to solve that problem. So appreciate the fact that the officer and the department doing that. Thanks.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. So we'll move on to the first public portion of time for residents and taxpayers of township comment matters of concern, official actions or deliberations that may be before the Board of Commissioners. So we ask that you approach the board and allow them to address the board, and the board will respond to them and leave comments for more than 5 minutes. Otto, you are signed in, so come on up.
Thank you, sir. Otto Voigt, 525 Elmore Avenue. We all know each other. We have served the community for many events and have worked together for many events, and we're all good public servants for Muhlenberg Township and have their best interests at heart, no matter what we do. My comment tonight is about the Township Authority and your desire to pass a motion tonight to dissolve the MTA. You appointed me on the board, which was a great honor some years ago. I'm the vice chairman. Scott Lair is the chairman. Okay, prior to that time, you, the commissioners, appointed a board member. Okay, and also during that time, Kevin, your dad served with distinction. Okay, on that board, there's a lot to be proud of, and issues that came up were resolved. And for the last couple of years, one of the reasons the people that you appointed, not Mr. Lair, served with distinction, held us back on doing many things. This January, you made some changes, rightfully so. Okay, you appointed 2 new board members. So there's a team of 5 working now, okay, that are serving in the best interests of Muhlenberg Township. And so changes are being made and are what Mr. Bodek wrote in his letter some months ago, which I know you were only doing what the commissioners asked you to, but Jim, I was shocked by that letter where our personal integrity was called into question. Being a former combat military officer, I take exception to that and for that. So no hard feelings, Jim, but I take offense to it. In the last 10 months, we've had 2 100-year events. Seems like they're coming more and more, and they will come more and more. In November, we had an event where there was a main break by Fairgrounds Mall, subsequently fixed. And as a result of that, with the new board members that you have on board, action was taken to develop an emergency action plan. What happens? What do we do in an event like that? And with the leadership of Scott Lair and the entire team put that together. Well, the first time we were able to implement that plan was in the second year 100 event on July 11th, where we had some sprinkles, severe the storm, and as a result of that, we found some issues that we needed to resolve again to update that plan. Continues to be a work in progress. Specifically, how to communicate with the residents with all the technology that we have nowadays. That should seem and be seamless. But one thing we found out that the executive director can't be everywhere and do everything. So again, action was taken. Look at the events and what can we do better for the next time. I'm surprised there is even a vote, because as the MTA board in the entirety has reached out to the commissioners time and time again to meet to see what was on your mind. Because quite frankly, the issues that were posed in Mr. Bodek's letter do not even remotely rise to disbanding of the authority specifically for those reasons, even though you have a right at any time to dissolve the authority, right? You can form it, you can dissolve it, and you appoint board members. That's it. So we never had a chance to get together to say, hey, what's on your mind? Is the action we're taking, not sufficient because of what you see and what you hear in your travels throughout the township, like my travels throughout the township? What's going on? What's happening? The biggest issue in this township right now is stormwater. Okay. It happened in November, and it happened on July 11th, and it's going to happen again. And as a result of that, it affects the sewer. And so that is something that I would encourage you to vote no, and for us to work together, because that is a serious problem for you, the entire township, and the MTA. Because the stormwater goes into the sewer goes into the homes, and it gets backed up. So I would encourage all of us to sit down, say, hey, what's going on? What's happening? What changes do you like? What changes don't you like? Okay. So instead of as boards coming together, okay, for the township and its residents, right? We're elected officials. I'm on the Muhlenberg School Board for 24 years. And so we serve the public. So I encourage all of us, I encourage a no vote at now, not to say it can't happen in the future. And if we get together and can't resolve our differences, then by all means, disband it. Or go about changing the board members out, because that is your authority, and over time that will happen. You have a right to do it. I encourage you to vote no, and I encourage us to sit down for the betterment of the township residents and seek to resolve whatever issues there may be. So appreciate your time and appreciate the work that you do as public servants. Thank you.
Otto, just so you know, today's vote is just to advertise the ordinance. The other vote could happen within 60 days after the ordinance is published. No, I have been a supporter of the MTA for 9 years. And there's been a reason why I've supported that. And it's not because I've always agreed with what the MTA has been doing work-wise. I always like having a separate entity, non-political,
Right.
an entity basically to do the water sewer job and not have any politics involved. You know, over the years, I've had problems with the administration and, you know, I like most of the board members. And I think you have, the best interests of doing a good job for the authority. The township, when we asked the board to resign, wasn't anything personal, although I'm sure I would have taken it personally. But it was basically, how do we get to know what's going on within the authority? Because we think there needs to be some major changes because of all the things that we hear. I mean, it's the Muhlenberg Township Authority, but we're Muhlenberg. And we're elected to make sure we're the ones held accountable if the MTA doesn't do their job. So there's people on the board here that feels things have to change. Now, how do we know what has to be changed? We have to get our hands dirty. And this isn't personal, it's mechanical. So I pointed out 11 things to you that I think should be done. I think they could have been done very quickly. And I'd be very interested to hear from you and Scott, what do you plan on doing differently? I mean, I understand about that other board member who told you guys back, but he hasn't been around for a while. And we hear the complaints. Frankly, some of the complaints that we hear, and I was talking to some of our people on the staff. I was told, geez, if my people talk to the residents like I hear they're talking, I'd fire them. I mean, so we get we are held accountable to make sure the MTA is working correctly. You know, we appointed you, and if things aren't going well, yeah, we're probably at fault because we appointed you guys. You know, but how do we know what's going on if we don't get our hands dirty? There has to be, I think, a whole new administrative setup as to how the authorities run. And one person has been running the MTA, and it's not a one-person job. It's a job, like I told you the other day. We need a controller. You need a director. You may need an assistant director. You need a foreman that all works together to make sure that these citizens are protected. The water boiling issues, the restaurants know, you know, I think we are liable if anything happens, we the township. And that's where our concern is here. Now, today we're going to vote on whether to advertise. That's it. You know, how am I going to vote down the road? I'm not sure yet. But I need to hear a plan either way. Either if you guys are keeping it, I need to hear a plan. I need to hear a plan if the township takes over. I've talked to some people that feel that the sewer water business would work a lot better. There'd be more communication if it was a department, much like our roads crew, our parks department, more communications. So that when we get a phone call from somebody that's complaining about this, we don't have to say, that's not us, you have to call MTA. Who do they get when they call MTA? You know, but when we get the call, you know, we try to work things out as soon as we can. So I think we have some responsibility to the residents. And I think this whole thing comes down to what's best for the community. Some people here think that the best thing is to have the water company under the township as a department. I can see that argument. You know, but I want to hear a plan from the township. And I'd like to know from you guys as to, what your plan is. I mean, there needs to be major change.
And that is, there's no doubt, and I would agree with you. Okay, keep in mind that after 44 years of public service, okay, Jeff has resigned for the purposes of retirement. Okay, he has served 44 years and deserves our thanks. But new times, new challenges, and new people, okay, need to step forward. Okay, so we appointed a new director, and we agree, okay, there needs to be a controller, it needs to be split up, because everything went to one person. One person said and did everything. And that shouldn't be the way to move forward. You've been at our meetings, and we thank you for coming to those, because this is the first year, okay, that we've had significant progress, okay, because of the relationship, okay, you, the thoughts, and also with Scott as chairman. He's not political, nor, but he gets the job done. So whether, regardless of what you do, okay, changes are being made. You've seen them, you've heard them. There's a consultant in to completely review our processes and the entire staffing of the organization. We've already reached out to 2 CPA firms to immediately get somebody in part-time basis as a controller. So those changes you speak of, we are well aware of them, regardless of quite frankly, any comments from you, which are always welcome, and we're making those changes regardless. And so I know once the ordinance passes, it'll pass. It's just a way of, come on, we've been around forever. That's the way it works. So there's no hiding on this one. If you want changes, okay, then let's meet and make those changes. If you want to do it yourself, then you do it yourself. Okay, what I'm saying from the MTA's position is, okay, what do you want that we're not doing and looking at? The changes are coming. And so I'm saying, let's meet and talk about it. And that's the way it should be. And then if you decide to move forward, so be it. It's your prerogative. Thank you. And I appreciate your comments, Steve.
Commissioners, any further comments?
I don't know that I can add anything more. Thank you for your comments. I don't know that I can add anything more that Commissioner Wolfinger has already stated. I think the important thing to keep in mind, I think you phrased it very well, Commissioner Wolfinger, is that it's purely a mechanical decision, not a personal decision. I cannot tell you the number of residents that have come up to me in the course of the last year. What are you going to do? I going to do about, sewage backup? What am I going to do about water main breaks? And to each resident that I say you need to reach out to the MPA, the answer becomes, well, you appointed the MPA board, you, Mr. Commissioner, are ultimately responsible. So in a sense, I understand it. I understand their frustrations. But in a sense, I'm ultimately responsible, but I'm not in there day-to-day making these types of decisions. And I know that the one avenue that has been explored has been to appoint additional commissioners to the MPA board. And my response to that is, I understand that, and that gives us a different type of insight, and it gives us a different type of communication. But there's a logical part to that sequence that says, well, if I'm going to sit on that board to make those kind of decisions, then why am I just not looking to bring the authority into the township operation directly? And that way I have the kind of control that the residents expect me to have. So again, tonight is just to put the motion onto the board. It's not the actual decision-making process. I think there's a lot of things to talk through yet, but, again, I think Commissioner Wolfinger expressed the concerns of the residents and the folks of the board, adequately.
Anything else, Ben?
Yeah, I guess my only comment, again, I've only had several months of interface and hearing about Muhlenberg Township Authority, and two things that stood out for me was, and Mr. Boyd mentioned this, was the emergency planning. And I know I read in your minutes that that emergency plan was drilled. I'm very familiar with emergency plans because I used to be responsible for restoring service for med ed customers. And I don't know how that plan was drilled, but it was very frustrating to me when the second event happened, that the things that we had communicated prior to that emergency plan being developed around customer communications failed flat. I mean, it was deplorable. And to me, a basic emergency plan, if you really did drill it, should have identified any of those weaknesses. And then the second point I think that Mr. Wolfinger made is, I'm familiar with boards putting together plans with timelines and communicating those, not for the commissioners to ask of that from the Muhlenberg Township Authority Board, but the Muhlenberg Township Authority Board coming forward and saying, here's our plan, here's our time frame, is it acceptable? And that hasn't occurred. And to both of the commissioners' points about customer service, there's different levels of customer service. We have individuals that have restaurants, businesses, residential, and they're all being treated, at least from what I understand from talking to them, they're being treated as a customer. And that's not the way customers are treated. There's different levels of customers. There's those that are using the water for bottling. There's those that are using it for restaurants, medical facilities, and then residents. Each of those should be categorized and handled differently, and they're not. And I guess I'm just frustrated that that process hasn't been completed.
I would agree with you. Okay, there's no ifs, ands, or about it, customer service, and I think customer service and communication is number one. That's why everybody's jumping through all these hoops. Okay, on July 11th, everybody complained about everything. Sewer was backed up, yes, because of stormwater, yes, let's work together to solve it. It's not our job to come to you with a plan because you didn't ask for one. Okay, it's our job just to do it. Okay, that's what we're doing. If you wanted a plan, okay, we wanted to reach out to you, meet and say, hey, you know, what's going on in your head? Didn't happen. And so I appreciate your comments and what you do, but keep in mind that we've reached out numerous times to get together to seek that common ground on what is going on. We know what is going on. Okay, and those actions are being taken. Like actions that you take, they don't happen overnight. Okay, the public sector, which we serve in, bam, CEO, okay, president, CEO, bam, you can make it happen right away. First thing you do in public service is count up to 5 or count up to 3. Okay, how do we get that across? How do we make these changes? Because they don't happen overnight. They should. It'd be nice. And also keep in mind that where the rubber meets the road is does everybody get water and is it clean water? Okay, and does the sewer function? It does until there's storm water runoff. So we'll continue the conversation, you know, at a later date when the vote is called for. But keep in mind, you're equally as culpable as us in this position because we haven't worked together. But yet we've individually worked together on everything for this township, everything. Mike and I, Kevin, okay, Steve, Jim, Karen.
Well, I don't wanna like pile on to just from my sense to move on, because like all the commissioners said, this is just to show, I think, right away, right off the bat, that we're serious now. Because we can't, I was at your meeting with 4 of my fellow members a while back when the water main break happened. And quite frankly, we haven't seen a whole lot happen. We haven't. We have a guy who's still the only guy who can get gas, I think, cars out. We have a guy that, you know, I don't care what it is, like you want to mention the private sector, but we want a long time. The accountability, what we hear from you know what it is when you try to the economic development arm, and you have business owners who you go and say, hey, well, we didn't have water for a week, and no one told us we should even boil it. I mean, that's the frustration we have because they're coming to us, we're spending the time at meetings. And when we were at that meeting, I forget the exact date, we just really haven't seen a whole lot accomplished since then from a leadership perspective. You have one of the best guys sitting in this room in terms of operational perspective. But my goodness, you have $70 million organization and you don't have anyone responsible for funding, you don't communicate with us about capital projects. We just, I don't know what else we can do as a board, other than to tell you, this vote tonight is to tell you that we're serious about it. We came to the meeting, Commissioner Wolfingers uttered the same thing, is now we have to go, because the residents, the business community, state commissioner, they call us. And they call us, so we have to either come to a resolution where we're gonna understand how important this is, and that stuff gets done quick. Or we're gonna have to just step in and do it ourselves, because we will get it done quick. So and that's from where I was just frustrated, as you can hear in my voice. And that it shouldn't take this long. It really shouldn't implement some of the safeguards. I don't believe it should, because we were very clear, Mayor, at that meeting after the Boscov's break, that we needed some plans in place. And we just, you know, about not even moving and customer service and doing things together, but that's your board's responsibility, not ours. It's not ours to come and tell you how to run the MTA. That's what we put you in place for. And we're just frustrated, I think. And this vote tonight, and who knows, 30, 60 days, what'll happen between now and then. That's a long time. But this is to show the MTA board that we're done screwing around. We need either to get stuff done, or then we're gonna have it come to us. I think that's what you heard tonight. So, and I appreciate all your service, you know that. And I know you mean well, and I know Scott, everyone means well, but now stuff's gotta get moved. And I think that's how everyone feels up here, because I don't think we've seen the results, because we're getting, and it's not because of the rain, water, and all that stuff, preventative maintenance, the pounding on the chest because we're the lowest water rate in the county, which is great. But how much are we investing in the stuff that helps with infrastructure, that helps with stormwater, all that stuff? So that's where I'm sitting in the vote tonight will be, hey, we're telling the MTA that we're serious, and we're telling the residents, most importantly, that we're serious now, that we have to do something to ensure that we're providing the appropriate services to our residents and our business community. So that's why my vote will be yes tonight, just to authorize the advertising ordinance. So I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate working obviously with you for a long, long time. That's, I think, where we're at.
Thank you.
We good? Anyone else wish to speak? No. I need a motion to approve the entire consent agenda.
Move.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
So,
Oh. Oh, yeah, there. Wolf second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Any unfinished business? New business, any motion for the payment of bills presented by the Director of Finance and Customer Service? So moved.
second,
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to approve payment application number 1, GNR Excavating and Demolition Inc. in the amount of $117,540 for work completed on the 401 RV Avenue demolition project.
so,
Second.
Questions or
that's the
comments?
rule.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to approve $1,000 sponsorship to the Berks County Solid Waste Authority.
Move.
Second.
Jim, explain that.
Yep, so the Berks County Solid Waste Authority, the executive director there, Jay Beeks, is the entity responsible for assisting all municipalities in Berks County with their Act 101, 902, or the 900 series compliance. So in Muhlenberg Town, from Muhlenberg Township's perspective, we're responsible for providing an annual report to DEP that shows the amount of material recycled in the township. As an Act 101 community, we are required to mandate recycling in the township. With that requirement comes a handful of different recyclable materials that we would not have the ability, or we could not economically provide those services on our own. So the County Solid Waste Authority provides those resources countywide. So when you see the tire collection events and the hazardous household material collection events, that's what this is going towards.
How do we get $1,000 fee? $2,000.
$1,000 is the cap on their sponsorship restrictions.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. No, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. I need a motion to authorize the solicitors to advertise the October 21st budget meeting starting at 8 a.m.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise an ordinance to acquire all projects of the Muhlenberg Township Authority and terminate the Muhlenberg Township Authority.
Second.
Any further questions or comments? We discussed it ad nauseam. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Any motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise an ordinance to accept the deed of dedication for a portion of Commerce Street.
Second.
Questions or comments? Go ahead.
This is the portion of Commerce Street that was opened in front of the Haverhill Apartment buildings.
Thank you. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those, if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise a public hearing to adopt a Muhlenberg Laurel Joint Comprehensive Plan at the October 16, 2023 Board of Commissioners.
Moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Looking forward to this. If we're lucky, we'll be able to have somebody from the county here to help talk through a little bit about the comprehensive plan. I think I've spoken, to use your phrase, ad nauseam over the last couple of months about the plan itself. But this finally would bring it to fruition, and we would actually have the viable plans to put in place for this board of commissioners, our planning commission, our zoning hearing board. And I think I'm just extremely proud that we were able to do this with the assistance of the county and in partnership with our friends at Laureldale and with the school district. So looking forward to actually bringing this to a close.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those, if any, the ayes have it, and so ordered. No other new business for
Mr. President, I'm sorry, I should have brought this up under old business. I just wanted to relate to the board of commissioners and to the public. As you know, I'm the township's liaison to the Berks Municipal Partnership, or the CELG. We had a meeting August 31st. One of the topics that came up was a topic that we had discussed some time ago, which the CELG was titling "The Future of Firefighting in Berks County." If you remember, pre-COVID, there were a series of meetings with the CELG and a number of fire departments. There were a number of fire chiefs there and other municipalities. It was a very hot topic at the time regarding funding and the consolidation of departments and what the future would look like, whether you're looking at, fully funded departments, whether you're still looking at combination departments. At the time, we were still in the process of merging our one of the fire companies into Muhlenberg 66. The topic kind of died off simply because of COVID and we are not able to meet. So again, the topic has come up at the Berks Municipal Partnership. There will be some additional meetings taking place again. Again, they will invite municipalities and fire chiefs to kind of talk about it. One of the driving discussions right now is funding of emergency services, so ambulance services. So I'm looking forward to those discussions recommencing and make sure that the board is kept up to date on this progress.
Thank you, Commissioner. Public portion, I know.
If I can continue on to that, Jody Heckman is here. He's the manager of the Ambulance Association, and I've been looking at your reports every month they come in, I look at the bottom line as money coming in and going out, and for the most part going out. I saw the last couple of months, you're down maybe $40,000. Can you give us a little status on, like, we were in the other month and we spoke to Dawn and Jim and as to how you're doing, because I don't want this to get to the point where you guys are going bankrupt and you know, like other municipalities have problems with rent associations.
Thanks for your time. Jody Hecken, I'm the executive director of Muhlenberg Ambulance. I started there in 1999 when they went from a BLS service to an ALS service. So BLS meaning just EMTs, they can't do anything invasive. ALS meaning paramedics, and we can do the cardiac monitoring, the drugs, the IVs, all that stuff. I've been the executive director there for 5, 6 years, but been there 24 years total. It's been an honor to serve the community. I think this is a phenomenal township. We have a great working relationship with the other first responders, with the police and fire. We do a lot of cross training. We help each other out any way that we can. And just at the VOTEC incident the other day, it's just phenomenal to see the response and the selfless service that everybody has. EMS is different than the other first responder services in that we have to maintain financial viability for our service. We do get to bill the insurance companies, but it's been a never-ending battle and decline in reimbursement. Off the top of my head, I think last fiscal year we billed $2.7 million to the insurance companies, and we got back $800,000. Would you like to go out to dinner, get a $100 bill and leave $20 on the table and say, hey, that's what you have to take, because that's what I'm giving you. Insurances are crazy. A lot of the agencies south of us have a higher tax bracket, and those EMS agencies are paying their providers like $30, $35 an hour. I'm paying my guys $25 an hour. And last month they had 3 full-timers quit to go drive 10 more minutes and make $30 an hour. I can pay them that, but then we've got a business in 6 months. Not to talk bad about the hospital-based systems. They're stepping in and kind of filling in the void. We've had 6 ambulances closed in the month of August in Pennsylvania just because of staffing and reimbursement issues. You can go stock shelves at Walmart and make more money than you can working on the ambulance. We average 15 calls a day. My full-time staff works 24 hours a day, and that's their choice. So they only have to work 8 days a month. There's also train of thought. But these guys are working 80 hours a week to make ends meet because of the low salary, and we just can't get new people in. And if I could pay them more, that would be awesome. And we've been in discussion, and I appreciate that greatly. And you do help us out now. I'd like to sit down and answer any questions you have about where we are. And it's not just Muhlenberg Township, it's not just Berks County, it's across the entire nation. And you've seen it with the decrease in the volunteer fire guys. And that ball is just rolling downhill and getting bigger and going faster, and it's catching us too. It's always been a problem. We're not doing terrible, but we do need to be proactive and jump on this problem before it gets to the issue of us closing our doors. Anything I can give you information wise, I'm transparent with all my numbers, my call volumes, my money, all that stuff. Whatever we can do to work together to continue to provide good service for the community. What I forgot earlier about the hospital-based systems, when Fleetwood went out of business and St. Joe's Lifeline took it over. We have a community subscription program. If you join our prescription, we try and offset any balance billing that the insurance company doesn't pay. The hospital-based systems are different, licensed by Medicare and cannot offer that type of system. And some of the agencies that were being serviced by Lifeline, they stopped using Lifeline because they were getting, instead of a $1,500 bill for a cardiac event, they were given a $2,500 bill. And they wouldn't accept any membership, so they had to take the required payment in full. So things like that you want to know, I can help out with anything. Please let me know.
Since Western Berks started collecting, things have gotten better.
Yeah. We had a professional come in and audit, and our billing service, due to the health of some of the employees, declined. And Western Berks brought us back up to speed. Just kick the can down the road. Costs are still going up, and income's still going down. And I'm proud that I think we have the best ambulance service in the county. We still have that mom and pop feel, and the employees get taken care of very well. And we have a good set of people. We really have good providers there. Thank you. Any questions?
No, thank you. All right, second public portion, Chief, I think, Jim, did you say that?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Do you mind doing that?
No, do it.
Mr. Pacheco? Ms. Pacheco is the mother of the incident that Officer Colella stated she would like to say to the board or to the public.
There's a lot I could say. I'm very grateful and thankful that he was able to get there really fast, as well as EMS and the fire department. They all responded pretty fast. I mean, it was an emergency for me and my baby was choking. I mean, yeah, I have kids, I should know, but in the moment, you're just panicking and trying to figure out, like, how can I get my baby to breathe and be okay? But he showed up and like, he came in there and I heard her start breathing and like, I'll never forget his face. I didn't know his name. I told him shit. And I'm like, who is the officer? Are we even able to get that information? But the chief called me and asked me if I would attend the meeting last month, but they didn't get the award till like after that date. So he said if I would have come today, and I would. I mean, if I could, I would get the guy over the moon. I told that to the chief because I don't even know, like I probably wouldn't even be here if anything was to happen to my baby. So I'm grateful and thankful for everybody that showed up. He deserves a raise. They definitely are worth the money that they're asking. I would definitely, everybody, all the EMS, fire, police especially, and because he saved my baby, but I'm grateful for all of them.
Thank you very much. Anyone wish to speak under the second public portion? Okay, we will move on. Staff comments. Chief, get out there, anything for us today?
Yeah, so obviously you have our reports from August, again, they're high on 119 calls for service. Continuing to stay busy in all aspects of the fire department. Upcoming here, October Fire Prevention Month. Specifically the second week, the 8th to the 14th, we're currently working on scheduling multiple fire prevention presentations with educational facilities here in the township. I also would like to invite the public as well as the commissioners. October 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. is going to be our annual open house. So it'll be a great day for community to come in, meet, greet local fire department, and kind of see the equipment and tools that we operate with here in the township. So, thank you.
Thank you. Joseph, I see that.
We've updated web payment portal, so now you can also pay for all your fire, health licensing, all your building permits, as well as trash. So just have your customer number and your last name, and we'll take you right to your account. Are you gonna say that?
Not now.
No.
Thank you.
Also, there's a permanent flood button now with our graphical buttons on the main web page, so everyone will be able to see exactly where it is. It's on the right-hand side for our house, water, any updates we have, or more resources we can provide those who were affected. That's where you're gonna go.
Jeremy?
Later this month, probably the last week of the month, we're gonna start our 23 road project. All the residents have been notified via letter. I will have A-frames up. We also have the 8th Avenue Bridge project starting beginning of October to fix the bridge problems that we're having there. There will be A-frames set up to notify those residents, and those residents were also notified via a letter. For that, pool's getting close to being done, so welcome leaves.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy. Go on. Kate?
I want to take a moment to, thank Joey. As you all know, our SRO program started last month and is up and running so far with very few hiccups. But, along with that project, then we are currently having our in-car video and body cam system software installed. His help has been insurmountable. Just with the technology aspects from that and just today with the camera system, so thank you very much. I also want to mention that there was 5 other officers from the department that had received a unit citation for their response during the flood. Unfortunately, they chose to have that done in a private session. But I wanted to point that out. Also, this past Saturday, we had new hire testing. In total, we had 21 applications submitted. Of those 21, only 16 showed up. And out of the 16, 6 passed the written and physical test. So, the comments about whether it's EMS, fire, law enforcement, there's obviously a trend going across the country where nobody wants to do this job anymore. I think we need to change the viewpoint with the general public. And I think we do that through positive things like the Fire Open House or National Night Out, some of the other programs that our department is going to try and change that perception. Where once again, this could be a sought after job. But unfortunately, right now, it's just not that way. So that's all I have.
Chief, I think the school resource officers have a very good chance to get in with the students and to get some good candidates down the road, kids that would bond with your officers and say, hey, you know what, I wouldn't mind doing that. And it would be great to hire Muhlenberg grads as Muhlenberg police.
Absolutely.
So I see that as being one benefit.
Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Karen?
Just would like to thank all the board members and other residents that came out to help us with Riverfest at the end of August. It was a good success in my eyes. I can share with you the numbers if you want me to do that. I can do that. But thank you very much. It was a good time. Weather was perfect for our event. You know, lots of good music, food, and everything. So looking forward to doing it all again next year. Also looking for the Temple Halloween parade coming up. I know some of the board members can make it, and a few can't. So we'll be good for that. And of course, Halloween right the weekend after that. Working forward with all programs.
You have to.
No. Send it via email.
But they were good.
Thank you. James?
To follow up on Jeremy's comment about the 8th Avenue Bridge, the road will not be closed. We do not anticipate the road will need to be closed through that process, so you will still be able to travel 8th Avenue, fire trucks, ambulances, police cars and all, so we don't expect an issue with that. PC Planning Commission meeting is on Wednesday. We do not have any new business items. The only update we have, the Planning Commission will be recommending that the Board of Commissioners adopt the comprehensive plan at the October meeting. We are waiting for System Design Engineering to provide updates on their flood assessment. So as soon as that becomes available, we'll share that with the board. And hopefully by next month's meeting, we'll have a final report of a DEP Brownsfield assessment that was done via a grant a couple of months back. We're hoping to have a final report done, I think, for next month, but it will detail all of the impacted or potentially impacted properties in Muhlenberg Township from DEP or EPA's perspective. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Lawrence, you want to finish?
So there's certainly been a lot of activity in the last 2 months. There were a lot of residents here in the last couple of months. We were talking about the flooding. On September 11th, we had a meeting here that was run extremely well. And we invited and had a lot of turnout from state agencies, county agencies. We talked at length about what we can do, what we can't do, and what we plan to do regarding flooding and the mitigation thereof. I know that residents, there were some residents who left here still frustrated, but, you know, my goal was to make sure after we had our breakfast meeting with Senator Schwank, was that we would have individuals here who could talk to the event and similar events and, you know, the steps that need to be taken and again, what can and cannot be done. So I was pleased with the meeting and it was lengthy, but I thank Jim for running a very good meeting and keeping things moving along. You know, there's still work to be done. We're still waiting for word from FEMA and FEMA, as was reported in the local news media. But I think the residents at least can look at this board and know that, you know, we took action to make things happen and at least bring voice to their, or bring answers to their concerns. Whether the answers were what they wanted to hear or not, at least they got answers. So more work to be done, but I was happy we were able to make that happen. And Jim, thank you for your hard work to help pull that off.
Thank you. Yeah, I know we're gonna initiate the 2024 budget discussions, I guess, on October 21st, but I looked this month, I had a little more time, so I took a hard look at the budget and the results, and anybody that manages a home budget knows that the cost of living last year and this year significantly increased, whether that's cost of material, cost of services, or whatever it is. And I just wanted to take a minute to compliment each of the department heads that are here this evening, because as I looked at the results, I mean, you're achieving results that were on the budget that was approved last year. And that is not an easy task to do with the cost of material and services that continue to rise and many unknowns. The storm that we had in July is unknown. We don't budget for storms. So just a compliment to each of the department heads for appreciate the managing the budget you had. Thanks. Thank you, Commissioner Moore.
See, Linda's here for the library, and I just want to remind everybody that there's a fundraiser at Margarita Pizza tomorrow. You go to Margarita's Pizza, order pizza or whatever, and say you're there for the library, they will get a cut of the bill.
Yeah, Mario's gonna give us 10% of anything that's ordered.
Fire chief was hired a year ago. And every time I talk to firefighters, they're very pleased with our choice. Alex is getting the guys out. Fire board meeting the other night, gave some numbers out. From January 1st to August 31st, there were 1,073 calls. And I see it all the time on my phone, I get the calls, I don't go out, I see what's, you know, sometimes you get 4 or 5 in a day. Amazingly, there is an incentive that we increased this year, we're within our budget. But failed responses of that 1,073 calls were 38. Now, the problem with that is we get a truck out with nobody else out. You know, or they're late coming out, or, you know, so it sounds good, but last year we were talking that we were gonna have to get some paid firefighters, and I think we're, you know, I remember when I was elected 9 years ago, Commissioner Lurt said, maybe about 5 years we're gonna have to get a paid fire department. Well, it's been 9 9.5 years. And, Alex is doing a great job getting all those guys together. I was looking to see who's showing up 20% of the times. I mean, I saw you had at least 20 some people that are over 20% of the calls. You're doing a great job. I know you need extra support, and I'm sure I told you to get your budget together for next year. So we're going to be meeting in October for the budget, and get your budget together. With Water Hollows, part of it, the thing we do for the young kids is have the barrel train run. And I lost Walter. He's going some other place. He was my go-to guy when I needed a break. I'm looking for somebody out there, maybe you might, to help me run the barrel train, just running a lawnmower, pulling.
I have a push mower, I never drove a push mower.
We need some volunteers, so if you're interested in volunteering, it is a lot of fun, the kids love it, and just Steve will figure it out, yahoo.com, just. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just to reiterate, August 21st is if you can make it. I know we'll have a lot of representatives from our department, so any information we can get to make decisions beforehand. It's great, but it really is probably one of our most important meetings to see how we spend your tax dollar. Because we're here to set policy and allocate and appropriate funds as best we can. Because it's 7 o'clock and I'm awfully hungry, I think missed not to mention it's National Cheeseburger Day. Wendy's has them for $1, I think, or a penny, and McDonald's has them for $1 today, so I'm gonna swing up the street highway and get yourself a cheeseburger, because the line may be very long for that, but I thought I'd throw them some publicity today. So everyone enjoy beautiful fall weather, and we'll see you next month.